Works.
Hello, welcome to the latest Google Hangout conversation with my good friend and mentor, Mr. 2020. And if you're just tuning in, this is our second of, I think we're going to do three discussions cool. On prosperity and Mr. 2020's prosperity pack, which I've been listening to and really loving. And so just for people who might be brand new, can you give us just a brief overview of who you are and how you got into teaching Neville Goddard material?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I'll take a sideways approach because it's always funner that way. Back, why is Skype ringing? Let's make that go away. Okay, so back in 1989, I was a prison guard taken hostage in a prison riot and diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. And that really took me deep on a journey of self-discovery, self-improvement, all the self things. And one of the things that I came across that really helped change my life was this fellow Neville Goddard. Because Neville got a couple things, and one of the primary ones being that how you imagine you and how you imagine your world creates the circumstances that you live in. And with post-traumatic stress disorder, life just wasn't all that fun because I was imagining all sorts of stress and stressors and trauma. So even though the ride only took about 12 hours, it plagued me for years until I discovered this capacity to explore the wonderful human imagination and just see what else is possible with it. You know, how many ways can we reinvent ourselves? How many ways can we re-explore life? And what are we here to do? So that's I'd say that's the big part of the background there.
Awesome. And you struggled in the past with your own finances. And
you betcha. Yep.
So last week we were talking about, we talked about how to pick a scene to focus on. We talked about attitude money quite a lot. And I've got my attitude money in my wallet. And
nice.
We ended up talking about exponential growth. So yeah. I thought we could start there, but where would you like to start with that?
It doesn't matter to me. So that sounds like a great place. You know, with the attitude money exercise, just to give a quick recap on that, the average person, from what I can tell, seems to experience a lot of months where there's more month than money. And so there's that thing where you wonder, do I have any money in the account? Do I have any money in my wallet? And that do I have any money question will keep you poor. Because you're always wondering, do I have or do I not have? And then the potential panic sets in and so on. So that attitude money exercise, literally where you take, $5, $10, $100, whatever you can start with, and you put it in your wallet and you promise yourself, I will not spend this. This is my attitude money. And for the rest of my life, it's in my wallet. And there's something that happens whenever you do that, because even though you're technically never going to spend it, and if you do, you replace it within 24 hours, but even though you're technically never going to spend it, you start to experience life as in, I always have money. And it's just a neat little trick that just helps break a couple loops in the head. And when you take it to the next level, which is periodically double the amount of attitude money that you have. So you go from, I have money. Yeah, I know I always have money because I've got, I don't have my emergency fund in my wallet. I don't have my secret stash. No, I've got my attitude money. And we call it that for that reason. So once you double that a couple times, it gets really cool, because now you start thinking in terms of, how do I double my money? Or I am a money doubler. Or you realize that it's possible to even double your income if you grow your income by 5% a month. If you grow your income by 5% a month in a year, you've doubled your income. And that's a fascinating thing. They don't teach us that in school. They teach us math that puts us into trances and makes us feel bad. That's what I learned in Catholic school, by the way. Math that put me in a trance that made me feel bad. They didn't teach me if I had a business and I grew it by 5% a month, between 5 and 6% a month, depending on which equation you use, that you can double your income every year. And heck, if you do that 5 or 10 times in a lifetime, how much fun does that get? Compared to the little incremental 5% raise that most people are happy for. What if you gave yourself a 5% raise per month instead of 5% per year? So that's one way to start about that.
Cool. I'm curious, because you just started mentioning this 5%. Is this something you just recently thought of or discovered?
No, it's depending upon which book you read. It's either the Rule of 72 or the Rule of 76 or something like that. And basically, uh, if we're ever taught this, and most people are never taught this. By the way, have you ever been told about the Rule of 72 before today?
Me? No.
No, most people aren't. And the Rule of 72 basically says, if whatever your interest rate is, divide 72 by that, and you can determine how fast it doubles. So if you're paying 10% interest on your credit cards, you're going to essentially over 7 years, you're going to pay double what you've borrowed. So that's how, and again, that's probably not the best way to explain that, but it's a real world way to explain that. So when you get what you're paying on your credit cards and on your loans, it's actually pretty terrifying. But when you get, all I got to do is grow my income by 5 or 6% a month. And if I do that for the next 10, 15 years doing something I love, oh my God, I get to have purpose in life, and I get to actually make a decent income. And making a decent income makes it easier to have more irons in the fire and help more people. And suddenly life gets really cool. And it's all because of math. Whoa.
Cool. Well, I'm curious, 20, because we were started out the hour talking about exponential growth, and it seems like you talk a lot about the idea of doubling.
Yes.
And how important that is, because people, I'm trying to get sort of where you're at with the Neville Goddard teachings. It sort of seems like a balance between spirituality and metaphysics, and also our brains and how we actually think, and
Yes.
and how we create our own beliefs.
Yeah. It's fascinating to me because I meet a lot of people and they tell me I want to become a millionaire. And if you're making 10 grand a year, you can't relate to $1 million. It's very hard to. And there's some tricks around that. But one of the things that we found that's really effective is just going from, okay, let's say you're making 20 grand a year. If you made 40 grand this year, how would your life change? And instantly you can go, oh my God, at 40 grand a year, I could easily pay the rent. I could actually buy a decent car. I'd eat good food. I'd start eating organics. And suddenly just doubling the income is something that people can relate to. But if I say, if you became a millionaire overnight, how would your life change? I'd buy mom a new house. I'd support this nonprofit. It becomes very spacey compared to, what if we just doubled your income? What if we did that every 6 months? Yeah. What if you grew by 12%? Ooh, yeah, radical thought. But one of the reasons why it seems as if it works, what I want you to do is to close one eye. There you go. Now open it. Right, cool. Now notice what happens. Now take both your hands, hold them up, and close one fist.
Keep one eye open.
No. Yeah, forget the eyes now. Just do a fist.
Okay, close the fist.
Now open them up, and just feel the difference between having both hands open and one hand open. Your neurology is designed with this binary thing. You've got 2 feet, 2 hands, 2 arms, 2 eyes, 2 ears, and we can relate to doubling biologically. We can relate to it emotionally. And since it's such an easy thing to relate to, it really becomes obvious that there's a part of us that goes, double your income. Double your anything is relatable. And we find when people can imagine something they can relate to, they actually can do it much more effectively and easily. So just imagine what it's like. Take your current income, double it, and imagine how many ways your life would change. And that will help you generate the feelings that enable you to basically get into that creative state where you will find ways that your income will naturally double.
20, thank you for that. When you talk about doubling your income, to me that still feels like such a stretch. I mean, obviously it seems more manageable than $1 million. Sure. But is that why you break it down into the 5 or 6% a month to make it seem more achievable?
Absolutely. And it really, there's, when we're talking about Neville says, live in the end of the wish fulfilled. So understanding, just if you take a few moments every day and imagine what's your life like making twice as much money. Just notice what shows up physiologically in your body, what shows up emotionally in your being. And then notice that there's a temptation to go, well, all I'd have to do is work twice as hard. And that's the crazy thing, one of the crazy things we've been taught growing up, because that's almost what all of us were exposed to. If you want to make more money, you work more hours. And back when I lived in the States, I was doing a lot of live training. So people would come in to learn, one of a couple different things for me, and I would charge them so much an hour. And I figured out if I wanted to make really good money, I had to teach more people and teach more hours. And that just led to something called insanity, because it just wasn't scalable. It wasn't fun after a while. It became one of those things where all the time I talk to people and they say, well, if I did what I loved for money, it would become a job. And it would if job is all you know. But I love talking to people. I love teaching and training and having fun and having those aha moments like we had last week. And that's what I live for. And I found a way to do that scales. And part of it's information products and writing the articles and doing shows like this, because it's not just you and me talking, even though it is, but it's, how many hundreds of people will watch this and be blessed by it. And they may or may not buy a product off of our site, and that doesn't really matter because somebody will. But the thing is, I can take one unit of time and have it bless tens of hundreds of thousands of people instead of just, okay, Marie's slot is 10 to 11 on a Wednesday. Okay, she's got to get here. She's 15 minutes late. Oh, it's time for me to stress. Yeah, that's where the craziness comes in. So part of what happens whenever we accept the fact that, you know what, I've moved into the lifestyle where I make twice as much money, we get to open up our minds to discover, how's that going to happen? I never knew I'd be an internet marketer. I never knew I'd be doing Skype calls from Australia all around the world. But my God, it's cool. I thought I was going to be the guy that teaches things in the local park because I didn't want to pay rent. Instead, I don't have to pay rent, and I get to teach online. Wow, there's the completion. So imagining that it's possible lets me discover how it's possible.
So with regards to, again, doubling our income, again, I feel like there's that belief of like, I can't do it. So is the first step just imagining and doing your sessions on living with twice the income?
Yeah, so there's two sides to it. One of it will be imagining what life is like with double the income. And the second is, how have you changed? I guard my time very wisely. I love spending time with Victoria and the puppy and with friends, but I really guard my time wisely. And when I say that, what that means is I only work a limited amount of hours. So I make sure that keeps me effective. And I noticed that I just lost where I was going. What was the question?
So the question was, where do you start when it comes to working towards twice the income?
Got it. Really get that it's possible, because there's somebody out there making twice as much money as you, right?
A lot of, I think most people probably make at least twice.
Cool. So if it's possible for you. Mm-hmm. And there's some people making twice as much as you and working half as many hours.
Absolutely.
So we've just doubled again. So the first thing we really get to notice is, let's get rid of anything that says I can't do that. Just because you haven't done it doesn't mean you can't. If that wasn't true, none of us would be walking. So we get to really notice anything that's in the way of, I don't know if I can do this, or that's not me. Well, it's not you yet. I'm a marketer. I would have never guessed that I would have become a marketer. And being a marketer, I get to help people make decisions that they wouldn't normally make. It's not about influence. It's about educating so that they can make decisions that they wouldn't have made just if they would stay in their own patterns. So I would have never guessed that's what I would do with my life. But God, it's a fun ride. So we get to define ourselves as someone who, I can double my income. And you can feel what that's like. And then you also get to discover yourself as in, who does Marie get to be as someone who has taken her show to the next level, who has you have co-written some books or whatever. I don't know what all your passions are, but you get to discover who you are as the person who's doing all those things at different levels.
Okay, because my first question that comes to my mind, and I think this is where I often find myself stuck, is I ask, how? How am I going to do this? And I'm looking and thinking, and
Yep.
I'm not coming up with ideas. So then I start to be like, well, then I guess there's no point in, and I just keep
You
trying and
bet.
applying for different jobs. And then I'd really just kind of end up spinning my wheels.
Yeah. We don't got to figure out the how. I think that's the cool part, because once you commit, the hows will start to, and again, it's not just magically appear in your life, but we'll start to magically notice them. And I'll give you a good example. Years ago, I did a year-long course called Remarkable, and we'll take 6 to 12 guys, and eventually we opened it up to ladies too. And we would basically get together twice a month on when we started the program, it was all in a Yahoo message base, sort of like a Facebook group. And I would mail CDs and DVDs out to the people in the course. And that was it. So we had a little message base where we'll type back and forth, and I'd send DVDs and CDs to them in the mail, and we'll talk about it. And that was our men's group for a year. And at some point, this wonderful thing called free conference call came on, and Skype and all these things. And suddenly we're able to have conference meetings. So these guys that were all just knowing each other through emails, suddenly this program took on a whole new dimension with conference calling and so on and so forth. So, and the reason I mention that is you don't know what technology or what opportunity or who you're going to meet tomorrow. But as soon as I promise you, as soon as you decide, I'm taking my life to the next level, I'm taking it to the next level still, not because it's better or worse, but just because it's something cool to do. As soon as you decide I'm taking it up a level just for fun, the opportunities will start to become apparent, because once we decide we're looking for Chinese food, then you start seeing all the Chinese restaurants. Or once you own a BMW, I remember when I bought my first BMW, it was a 1983 18i. And as soon as I bought this BMW, I started seeing 380 or 318i's all over the place. The little 3 Series Bimmers. I didn't see them before I bought the car. But as soon as I became a Bimmer owner, I started seeing them all over the place. So once you decide, you know what, I'm ramping it up just for fun. I'm ramping it up for fun just again. I promise you the resources that you need will become, they will develop in your life in the coolest ways.
Cool. Well, I mean, you're talking about Skype and the internet and all that, and it seems like, speaking of exponential growth, we're kind of at a time in history where things are expanding exponentially. I mean, maybe they have been all along, but it's so much more obvious now. There's a new social media site out every week, and there's Google Hangouts on air. I mean, a couple of years ago, this wouldn't have been possible.
This is the stuff I dreamt about. Yeah, I mean, isn't it cool? You're in Canada, I'm in Australia, and I don't know where all the viewers are going to be from, and will be from, because they'll see the replay. But my God, for you and I don't have to spend $10,000 to do this. Yeah, we each got our computers, and we each have our microphones, and here we are. The capacity to be a blessing, to have impact, to just have fun. I mean, the whole purpose of this adventure of a lifetime on Earth is to have an adventure of a lifetime. And the possibilities that we have now are just endless. So, it's all, we live at a point in time in history where it's so easy. We eat better today. Victoria and I eat better than kings did 100 years ago. So do you. Mm-hmm. We can go to the supermarket and get food from around the world. Some of it's actually good for us. It's amazing that we can do that. I don't have to get in the car and go hit food and bring it home and skin it. I can go to the store and buy food and go and bring it home and eat it. It's so cool. And yet most of us miss it. We really are surrounded with unlimited opportunity and potential. And what activates it all is this power of imagination, this power of perceiving, the willingness to just step up and swing the bat and just have some fun while we're here.
Well, Can we talk about the way our perception, the habitual perception that we tend to have, sort of this bubble of what's possible for us?
Yep.
And why do we do that to ourselves? Because we can see what's possible for other people. Like you talk about double income, other people do it. Other people make billions of dollars. That's possible too. So why is it that as individuals we tend to have this box that we get stuck in?
If you could imagine being unlimited, just imagine being unlimited, imagine being fully expanded, imagine being one with everything. In a way, that would get boring. If you look at what all the mystics say, and this is my experience as well as Neville's, we came here to contract. We came here to experience this illusion of separation from everything and everyone. We came here to experience limits. And so one person can say, I never graduated college. I can't make more than minimum wage. Another person can say, thank God I didn't waste time in college. I can make $1 million. I don't work for, I've had people tell me, hey, I'd like for you to help me out on this project. I can give you $50 an hour. I can't possibly work for $50 an hour. If I did that, I'd have to work a lot. Mm-hmm. What I'd prefer to do is work for nothing. I'll write an article and get paid nothing for it, but I get to pump it out there and see if it sells product and see if it changes lives. So we all have limits that we set up in our lives, and a limit isn't a negative thing unless we set up negative limits. But whatever limit you choose to have, I choose to not trade time for dollars. What I do is always invest my time so that I'll get paid heaps for it at some point. So if I take 20 hours to make a product, I'll get paid for that forever. Because I'll just keep pumping traffic to it and having fun, helping people get aware of it and answering their emails and learning what other problems they have and see if I can help them out with it, which is really cool. So it's a big difference between I'm limited by the amount of time I have to work. I'm limited because I didn't go to college. As far as I can tell, we're only limited to what we choose. Mm-hmm. So I choose to not trade time for dollars, and I teach people how to not do that. I choose to share stuff like this because it'll bless heaps of people and that'll bless us. So it's just a different model of living. It's a different limit. I don't work 40 hours a week. I probably play 80 hours a week doing this kind of stuff, but it's all play to me. Yeah, if I'm on Facebook or doing this or I do about 2 to 3 hours of coaching a day and that's it. It's good fun. And that's the only reason why I do it.
So it sounds, but when you're creating products and there isn't, we're often as humans motivated by a reward. And so if you're putting 20 hours into a product and you might not see the reward for 3 weeks or 6 months down the road, I imagine it takes quite a bit of discipline to do that. So how do you, you talk about how it's fun. How do you make that disciplined activity more fun for you?
Cool. So for me, I fell in love with this Neville Goddard guy in his lectures because his experiences paralleled mine, and he made some really good distinctions that helped me change my life and get everything back on target. So when we put up originally, Free Neville was just download 221 lectures and go away. So that was it. Just put in your name and email so that the server doesn't get crashed, essentially, and go download the lessons and go away. If you need help unzipping them or something, let me know. And then people start sending us all the emails asking questions and stuff. And I find that I enjoy answering questions. I love it because if you ask me a question and I don't fully know the answer, I'm going to ponder my experience and I'll go read a little Neville and see what Neville has to say. And so for me, one of our products is a little $7 book called Power. It's a little $7 ebook. And in Power, I take one lecture of Neville's, and I probably spent about 12 to 20 hours in it, just listening to it, transcribing it, taking notes on it, breaking it out, and pulling out maybe 40, 50 lessons from it. I don't remember how many. But we basically analyzed that lecture paragraph by paragraph for fun, right? And so what's cool about that, Victoria and I sit here and talk about it. I type about it. We talk about it. I type about it. It's just, it's great conversation compared to, did you hear about the people that got beheaded in India? No, I don't want to hear about it. There's nothing I can do about that. But what I can do is take apart this lecture and have fun doing it, and then sell it for $7. Yeah, we put 20 hours into it. I sell it for $7 and have several thousand people buy it. And several thousand people who buy it are blessed by it. They've definitely got more than $7 worth out of it. And I've gotten way more than getting paid for 20 hours worth of work. So it's a totally different way of how can I bless the world the most with this, and how can I let myself be blessed the most with this?
Thank you. I love that. And yeah, talking about positive things, I was noticing, I was in my therapist's office on the other day, and he was asking me about some things that had happened, and I was telling him about the negative things that had happened. And as I'm relaying this information, I'm just telling him my experience. I start feeling in my body like anxiety, and I start noticing my thoughts, and I start noticing how just having that conversation was actually changing my belief, shifting my belief to, I can't trust this person, I can't be around this person. And then I stopped myself and I said, you know, I'm noticing this happen, and there are actually a lot of good things about this situation and this person. And as soon as I started talking about that instead, I noticed again that my perspective shifted to hopefulness and a more open attitude. So it's interesting how just even a moment of focusing on garbage can shift your whole physiology.
Yeah. But, you know, we really are here to experience as many different dishes on the buffet as we want to. Now, I don't like canned peaches or canned pears. I can't stand them. You know, the things that are in that high fructose corn syrup, which is a neurotoxin as far as I can tell. I can't stand that stuff. And yet I remember I would go to the Chinese buffet in the States with a friend of mine, and she would always get a plate of that crap. She just loved it. And it's like, cool. And in 2 hours, she feels like crap because of the sugar crash. And in 2 hours, I don't, because I didn't eat any of that sugar, right? But we really do. We're doing this stuff all day long. Yeah, we get so used to feeling good or feeling bad that we assume that's the way things are, versus deciding, you know what, I'm going to explore more fun territory today. And if you choose to explore some more fun territory, that doesn't mean you're not going to hit a pothole. Yeah, if I can decide to drive into the city, and that's the direction the car is going to go in, but I might hit some potholes along the way, or get stuck in traffic, or have a red light, and that's all fine. So what's cool about this stuff is you get to determine the direction you're going to go in. So determine a direction you want to go in, but you get to discover all the quote unquote good and bad along the way. And there's always going to be, a pothole. There's always going to be a speed bump. There's always going to be somebody that cuts you off in traffic. And that's fine, because you choose where you're going. You choose what you're going to focus on while you're getting there. And you just get to discover so much along the way.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts in my head. I got to organize them all. But before I forget, I did forget that this is going to air on the radio on my show Synchronicity. So if you're listening and you're wondering who I'm talking with right now,
Nice.
I'm speaking with Mr. 2020, and you can find him at freeneville.com. You can get a gazillion free downloads. There's articles, and it's all about Neville Goddard, who was a Christian mystic from like the 1920s or something.
Yeah, he was around till 72, actually.
Okay, but he was like talked about, I don't know. Anyway, freeneville.com is where you can go to find Mr. 2020. And there's so many things I'm thinking of. I noticed lately you're talking about just exploring fun and exploring the different experiences you can have. And I'm starting to really recognize how much I make decisions, I think, out of fear, like out of this need to protect myself, need to make sure that everything is going to stay the way I want it, stay safe. Like if there's an opportunity I have, like I had an opportunity to do something a couple weeks ago, and I knew there were going to be a lot of uncomfortable moments in that. And in the past, I would have completely avoided that because I was trying to avoid discomfort. But this time I decided to explore that opportunity because I knew in spite of all the discomfort, there were also guaranteed to be some good times. And who knows, like when you try something new, you're opening yourself up to unlimited possibilities. So I tried it and I did experience some discomfort, but for the most part, it was really good. And I am glad that I did it. But why, I mean, it's just, I don't know why I get stuck in this need to avoid bumps in the road.
It's something to do. Hey, have you noticed that a lot of people really enjoy being angry?
Yeah.
It's amazing to me. Uh, it's the same with fear. There's a part of us that enjoys working through the fear, getting to the other side of it. There's a part of us that enjoys being right because I've been wronged. I get to file tax returns in 2 countries. I'm wronged by both of them because of this. They should have worked this out. They're governments, for God's sake, right? So I get 2 sets of hassles every year. It's a hoot to me because we can let go of all that, and it's because it's only an option. Getting through the fear thing. Whew, there's a rush at the end, and getting being wronged so I can be the one who's right. There's a rush in that. But there's also the pure rush. And the pure rush really is, am I going to hit the pothole or not? Am I going to get to the city early and meet someone, or am I going to get there late and have a miracle parking space show up? I don't know. But we really get to fall in love with the moment. Because whatever's happening in the moment, we're there. If we fall in love with forcing a spin on every little thing, we're falling in love with forcing. Versus we can go, you know what? It's sort of like today. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. I have no idea what your questions are. I don't even know what my answers are going to be. But God, it's going to be fun because the intention that I have here is to teach and have fun and connect with a friend. Wow. How cool is that? Whatever we do, if there's a time where we get confused or the lights go out or whatever, or if somebody comes into the thing and has a question, it doesn't matter because it's all good. And it's all the potential for just exploring and being here now.
Cool. Okay. I want to bring it to a question that I've been thinking of for a few weeks now.
Right.
Again, with regards to prosperity, as you know, I've been dating and looking for my life partner, blah, blah, blah. And one of the things that I value, I'd like to have a partner who is financially secure. But I'm noticing like I have been seeing someone who is not financially secure, which freaks me out. But I'm kind of wondering if that might actually be a good thing, because the reason that I believe that I need a partner who's financially secure is because I'm not. I'm looking for someone to save me for my deficits in my life or the things that I haven't sorted out yet. So when looking for a partner, I mean, is it a good idea to find someone who's doing better or well, or what are your thoughts?
So at some point, we all get to notice that we're the ones that create the wealth in our lives. And there's a magical side to that, and there's a rational side to that. And so when we really get, you know what, I am the source of wealth in my life. It's not Obama or Bush. It's not the Democrats or Republicans in the States, or it's not the Tony Abbott here in Australia or whoever. I'm the source of the wealth potential in my life. And it doesn't matter if I've got $10 or 10 million. As long as I realize that I'm the source of that potential and I choose to explore the world through that, I'll experience financial security. And so I would much rather see you with someone who's on the same path as you, exploring who and what you are and what you choose to experience and become, than someone who's got $1 million. because the $1 million guy can, yeah, that can all end in a second. Stuff is so darn immaterial. It's interesting. I never said that before. Stuff is so darn immaterial compared to verbs. As a verb, we actually get, I am the source of wealth in my life. I am a wealth creator, wealth doubler. We can play with all that kind of stuff. But really getting that, you know what? I can choose a new level of limits or a new kind of limits. Just really getting that, that would be cool. I'd love to see you with somebody just exploring the same path as you. Because then you'd be helping each other ratchet up instead of having one ratcheted up and the other one swinging from them. That wouldn't be much fun to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that brings up another question. How do you determine that? Because the person that I'm have in my mind right now is open to growth and open to creating more and learning and all of that. But I mean, you've known me for a couple of years now, and I'm very very serious about it, and I have to do it like this, and I have to do this step. And he's sort of just like, well, if I do it, I do it, and if not, I mean, he's just sort of easy come, easy go. And so how do you determine if someone is going to be on that path with you, or if, because I don't want to have to force it or nag him or drag him along for the ride.
So you get to discover it. Determining it's going to be tough because no matter how much data you have, it's never enough. So you get to discover it. You did manifesting mastery. Just let me know and we'll restart your emails for you. And so you guys, and so you guys could do the emails together once a day. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't work, you just keep doing the course. So how much fun is that? You really get to Victoria and I are both researchers. She'll research more on the garden than I will. But she'll bring up something and I'll go, whoa, that fits in with something really weird that I read years ago. And I'll research something weird or esoteric or something and then bring it back. And so we'll head off in different directions. Or she'll be researching the garden and I'll be researching psychology or something about the mind because I'm fascinated by the thing, But we keep coming together. And so I learn from her, she learns from me. And again, we just keep ratcheting each other up in different ways. So you really get to discover what kind of relating are you going to have? Yeah, how are you going to help each other ratchet up? And just invite opportunities in, like manifesting mastery. Guys, just remind me. We'll start the emails out at day one, and you guys get to go, hey, let's see if we can do this together. It's just 90 days. Victoria and I years ago did the 100 lessons, or no, I'm sorry, the middle of A Course in Miracles. There's 365 lessons in the Course in Miracles book, and the other parts of the book I was not interested in at all, but the lessons seemed fun. So every morning we'd sit on our stoop and do a 15, 20-minute lesson. And it was great fun because some days it would cook her noodles, some days it would cook mine. But here we were, just a young couple sitting on the stoop, doing our Course in Miracles lesson and discovering how do we get to explore this as a couple. So have fun.
Okay, so then how do you, I would definitely have to discover whether he'd even be willing to do it. It would be interesting to see that because even though what you teach is not overly metaphysical, there's not a lot of magical thinking. Right, I mean, you're visualizing, but it's for a purpose. It's not like, oh, I'm going to pray to baby Jesus and $1 million will fall in my lap. You're actually building skills and rewiring your brain. So I can see how he would value that. But there is kind of the spiritual aspect. And I wonder, do you ever find that you try to present this material to people who are kind of not super spiritual?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. I was practically an atheist in high school. Mm-hmm. And I really could have gone that way pretty quick, but I became more of an agnostic, not knowing either way, and then discovering whatever I got to discover along the way. But it's fascinating to me because you never. It appears to me that I just read a paper on this the other day. That there's two kinds of people in the world. Yeah, the right and the wrong ones. Yeah, yeah. There's actually two kinds of people, according to this one study. And the one kind are people that have firmly defined who they are. And the other kind of people are willing to discover what they can become. So defining who I am as what I've been, to me, is a little bit of madness, because it just requires that you make a statement and pin it on your computer and you're done. Versus I get to discover who Mr. 2020 gets to be today with you, with Victoria, with I've got a first time coaching call right after this. Wow, I'd love those. You know, it's like it's like a first date. It's like I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know what she sounds like. I don't even know if we're doing a video call or a voice call. But there's so much discovery. And if you think about the most popular movies of all time, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Star Trek, as far as a movie series as well as a really popular show, it's all about discovery. So if we define ourselves a little less and choose to discover who we get to be in this moment and in the next week and in the next year and in this relationship, wow, that's cool. That brings a lot of energy to it versus like defining who you are, defining who he is. Arg. Yeah, you get to discover who you both get to become as long as you choose to be playmates in the same sandbox together.
Cool. Well, we're talking right now with Mr. 2020. We're talking about prosperity. If you're interested in checking out his prosperity pack, you can go to his website, freeneville.com. And even if you're not, you just want more information, go to freeneville.com. He has lots of lectures available for free by Neville Goddard. So you'll learn all about this stuff absolutely for free. And you can sign up for his mailing list. He's got articles quite a few times a week, right?
Yeah, we send out an email every day. So some people hate it. They go, you're always bugging me. It's like, cool, you see ya. You know, they go away. And other people say you're my lifesaver. You know, every day I get something in the mail that just makes me feel good, gets me focused. It's like eating a meal. So yeah, we just approach life with the attitude of the complainers will go away, and they do. And the ones that are hungry and want to eat, come on back to the buffet, have another article tomorrow. So it's good fun.
Cool. I kind of do it sporadically. I was reading them every day, but now I sort of just, because like, you know how it is, you get so many emails.
Yeah.
But I'll catch a subject line of yours that sounds interesting and I'll click on it, and then it will reignite my interest again. And so that's always nice to stay on the mailing list. Yeah.
Nice. I'll send out the next couple and put your name in the headline.
Bree, this is for you. So we have just a few minutes because you do have that new coaching client. So we have 7 or 8 minutes. I'm just wondering if there's anything you want to focus on for the rest of this chat.
Yeah, you know what? It's really interesting. I come from a couple interesting backgrounds that some people don't like. One of them being neurolinguistic programming, and some people don't like that because it's used in sales and used by psychologists and stuff. And NLP is basically the study of human thinking, or what's left behind by human thinking. And the Neville Goddard side, which a lot of people put in law of attraction, and they say, okay, what am I supposed to do? Like make a wish and just sit on my butt and see what happens or whatever. And I look at the way that Neville approached it and the way that I approach it, and it really is about if you want to have change in your life, you've got to feel as if you're the person that you choose to be. And I'll give a real quick example of that. When I was 12 years old, I got into martial arts. I was picked on for the first 12 years of my life. I was sick. I was born 3 months early. I was 2 pounds 4 ounces, always had allergies, missed about a month of school a year. It just sucked. And when I was 12, I got into martial arts, and I read a book by Jethro Kloss, Back to Eden, so I learned about nutrition. And the reason I mention all this is when I was 12, I imagined what I could be like when I was 18. And I realized when I was 18, I could be a black belt. I could be really physical fit. I could actually have this thing called a girlfriend, right? Which was like unheard of, in my old mindset, because I was weak, a geek, picked on, all that stuff. And so I literally imagined, who would I be if I was an 18-year-old black belt with a really nice girlfriend, yada, 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 all that stuff. And it was almost as if overnight I started becoming that person. And this is really important, because making a goal to be a black belt at 18 is one thing, but assuming the qualities of that black belt when I was 12 years old is another. And that's really what this is about. If you can assume the feelings of someone who is financially capable, you're going to discover that your decisions change to someone who's financially capable. If you make decisions from the state of someone who is 100% secure in themselves and has the most amazing relationships, you will have the most amazing relationships. So whatever we want in life, the key isn't to sit around going, $1 million, $1 million, I have $1 million. The key is to really feel what it's like to be wealthy, to be a wealth producer, to be someone who makes wise and productive decisions with money. And if you feel yourself as that kind of person, yeah, the black belt had specific qualities that I, as a 12-year-old, didn't have. But imagining what it's like being a black belt, reading about what it's like to be a black belt, talking to black belts, that all helped me get something. You know what? If I respect my body and respect my teachers, I can become a black belt. And so even when I was a blue belt and a green belt, people were saying, kid, you're going to go far in this. And that was 30 some years ago. So the biggest key is this oneness thing. Become one with what you've wanted. Become one with the person who, one of Neville's primary teachings that I see gets missed all the time is he quotes a man who said, I never made making money my number one goal. What I made my number one goal was the wise, productive use of money. And that implies a couple things. If your goal, if you're feeling from the state of someone who wisely and productively uses money, that changes all your behaviors around money, but it also implies that you have it. And it's that implication of, you know what, I always have money. Why do I always have money? I make wise, productive of decisions with my money. I use it wisely. And then you find the attitude money experiment becomes really easy. Yeah, of course, I always have money. I bought a bigger wallet this year so I can carry more attitude money. It's like a woman's wallet that goes in my front pocket. Yeah, and I never thought I would have to do that. But I'm just finding this whole thing fun of just carrying cash, of knowing that I always have cash, of always knowing that, and again, just having the little brag story of, yeah, I had to get a bigger wallet. That's funny. We're meant to have fun here. I don't get this whole thing of we came here to suffer and die and then go to heaven. We came to, this is the adventure of a lifetime. And if you listen to all the old mystics, they all say the same thing. We're basically here, one with God, having the adventure of a lifetime. What you're experiencing, you're subjecting divinity to. You might as well make it good. Yeah, let's have some fun while we're here and just remember and realize who and what you are. So, yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, again, we've been talking with Mr. 2020. Thanks so much for your time, 20. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate how generous you are with your time. So if you have questions for Mr. 2020 and his wife, Victoria, you can go to freeneville.com. They're really good at getting back in touch and mixing things up and having fun with you. So check out the site. And is there anything that you want to add before you go and chat with your new coaching client?
Yeah, you know, if what we're talking about interest you in the least, when you go to freeneville.com, get on the email list. I promise you'll get a couple things. One, you'll get 221 PDF lectures that you can download and you can print. It'll probably destroy a couple of trees from the rainforest, but that's okay. Or you can read them on your computer screen. That's good fun too. But download those because that's like 1,500 pages. Okay, that's a massive amount of free material there that'll keep you busy and get some questions going in the box. Two, you'll get some audio lectures and other stuff from us as well in the free emails. And you also get a daily email from us saying, hey, check this article out, because when people email us, we always email back, but a lot of those emails turn into articles because we figure if you've got a question, someone else is going to have a similar one. So we'll anonymize the email a little bit, toss it up, and answer it publicly as well. So it's good fun. So that's it. And thank you, Marie. I tell you what, I love even how something, you and I came together, quote unquote, by chance. And that's part of this whole imaginal thing as well, because it's like, I imagine myself surrounded with really cool people having fun who want to make a difference. And through a mutual friend, here we are. That's what's cool to me. So thanks for being you and having us on the show. And You have a wonderful week. We'll catch you, what, in 2 weeks? Is that when we're doing this again?
Something like that. Yeah, we'll email, figure it out. Yeah. And
Okay, cool.
yeah, and if you are watching or listening and you have any questions that you want us to address in one of these hangouts, feel free to send them to me, spiritualshow@gmail.com, or to Mr. 2020, which you can find his email through freeneville.com.
Yep, cool.
Okay, take care. Have fun with your client.
Thanks, Marie. Have a great day. See ya.
You too. Bye.